This episode is dedicated to all of my good-hearted people out there, all of the people that have the weight of the world on their shoulders and they just don't understand why they continue to have to harbor all of this weight from other people and things around them when they're doing nothing but being great people, when they're doing nothing but giving out good energy and vibes everywhere they go, helping every single person around them, from their kids to their aunts, uncles, brothers and sisters, significant others. Every day at work they put in 100%, but they still feel the brunt of all of the negative things that happen while they're on the job site. The boss doesn't respect them. The kids at home are getting disrespectful. Your significant other stepping out on you and talking down to you. This video is for the people that are going through things and cannot identify what is wrong in their life. And I know I said a mouthful there, but I try to make each discussion something valuable and something that we can take away from, because no matter if this message is for you or not, there's somebody who's going to receive this message and know what to do with it because it touched them. And so today we deal with the frequency of struggle. What is that? What is the frequency of struggle? Why does it exist? Well, it exists because some people feel powered and motivated by struggle. It keeps them going, right? Motivation to get out of a position that you're in life, a situation that you may have on a personal note. And sometimes it takes you to get to those lowest parts, those lower depths of your life before you realize that you were fighting the whole time, but maybe you were digging a hole deeper and not digging your way out. Either way, we're gonna go over some ways where you can get yourself out of that frequency, way of thinking, lifestyle, trauma, response, or whatever it is that you are going through, and bring yourself to a place where you could be worthy. So in this episode right here, we're gonna watch my guy Nero, my British brother, and he's gonna go over the frequency of struggle and why some people are actually addicted to it. And it might not make sense right now, but we'll let it develop and come back and reiterate more on what's going on. So, let me get the music going down just a little bit. I might leave it on for this one. And let's go ahead and get into it.
Like I said, unfortunately, when it comes to desiring to materialize your desired reality, I'll use purple and blue. Cool. There's one base foundational premise that you have to come to an understanding of, and this can be extrapolated for any particular condition or characteristic, because as human beings, we make the mistake of identifying with qualities and characteristics instead of coming to the realization that it is them that identify with us. And this is what I mean by that. You do not have a struggle complex. In fact, it is the struggle complex that has you. And that's a bar, write that down. What do you mean by that, Nero? Well, you have to come to an understanding of one thing in particular. And this is a bit more on the esoteric and the more occultic side of things when it comes to manifestation, reality creation. But it's the truth that you don't have beliefs. Beliefs have you.
You created an environment in which I could discover who I really am.
What you need to come to an understanding of is that each particular belief, condition, circumstance of reality, quality, characteristic, anything that you can identify with itself, each and every belief is an entity. Now, when I say entity, all I mean is an organism that exists on the spiritual plane. There's 3 planes of existence. All successful manifestation requires alignment across all 3 planes of existence. So don't listen to anybody that tells you that you don't need to do anything to materialize your desired reality, because that's just complete and utter idiotic. In its base form, it's just idiotic, because nothing takes place in the physical plane without some type of physical action. Now, does that mean the physical action has to be hard? No. But what I will not do is facilitate laziness, because that's not what we're doing here. Action can feel effortless and natural and aligned. That's what it should be. But the whole notion of no action is just ridiculous. But an entity is an organism that lives on the spiritual plane. It has no physical body, but because it exists on the physical plane, it has the capability of being connected to the mental plane. And the mental plane and spiritual plane are the realms of cause in reality. And because they are the realms of cause in reality, they can affect the effects, which is our physical plane. Our physical plane is the realm of effect. The physical plane is the realm of effect. It's nothing more than an effect. So when we're talking about struggling and a struggling complex, there's an aspect of you that probably has come to the realization that, why do things always have to be so difficult before I get to what I want? Why do I always need to go through some type of trials and tribulations? Why do I always need to fight through some bullshit? Why do I always need to be put under pressure? Or it's almost like I'm at a point of no return. Why is that? And it's because whether you realize it or not, there's an aspect of you that has been conquered by this, which is a struggle complex. And a struggle complex, like I said, is a belief, which is an entity that exists on the spiritual plane. And one thing I should make abundantly clear about beliefs is that they seek to do one thing: buy up all your mental real estate. You see, the one thing about any particular entity is that it seeks to be materialized. It seeks to experience some type of physical existence. And because it wants to be materialized, the way that it will go about materializing itself is through conquering your consciousness, because if it can exist within your consciousness, your self-concept, your frequency, which are all interchangeable terms for the same thing. If it can do that, then it has the capability of materializing itself on the physical plane. Because if you think about it, before anything can exist physically, it first has to exist vibrationally. And the way that it exists vibrationally is through a combination of mentally and emotionally. And whether you realize this or not, mentally and emotionally, whether hidden to you, there's an aspect of you that is addicted to the struggle, or you couldn't be struggling. Remember, you can't experience anything physically unless it exists vibrationally. You can only experience what you're vibrationally aligned to. And there's an aspect of you, whether you're conscious or unconscious of this, that is aligned to struggling. So it has one purpose, one desire, one aim, and that is to buy up all your mental real estate. Because if it can do that, then it can hide its polarity. And every particular belief in reality comes with a polarity. Polarity is one of the Hermetic laws. It's just a fancy way of saying separation. It's separation that only exists in this third dimensional realm. I repeat, it only exists in this third dimensional realm. Outside this third dimensional realm, there is no separation. How do we know? Quantum physics will tell you of the notion of quantum entanglement, which is the idea that when two particles are connected, no matter what you do to, so long as 2 particles are connected, what you do to one is instantly done to another, transcending our third dimensional realm, because of course there is no time space constraint. So this is the first thing that you have to come to an awareness of, because when you come to an awareness that you are, in a sense, captured by a struggle complex, then you're actually in a position to isolate it. And the mistake that a lot of people make is we experience a particular degree of thoughts, and we make the mistake of associating those thoughts to be our own. Once you have a thought in your head, you experience it to be your own. And because you experience it to be your own, you take ownership of it. And when you take ownership of it, it takes ownership of you. That's a bar, write that down. Without coming to the realization that, in fact, it has taken ownership over you. So I have to point out this awareness to begin with, or you won't be in a position to actually reverse this. Because like I said, it's all good and well having these desires that you want to materialize. But if you have a struggle complex, then you're going to struggle to materialize your desired reality. The foundations of how you're going to get to where you want is going to be imbued with some difficulty of complex nature and just struggle in general, or some type of difficulty. But it gets even deeper. Let me show you what I mean.
It gets deeper, yeah?
Okay.
How deep does it go, Nero?
Okay.
Ooh.
me show you what I mean.
Talking about going deep, someone commented, I just manifested a threesome after not talking to girls for months.
Okay. You know what? Let me not write them off. Say what you're saying.
First night out, I left the house with confidence, but it started to wane. Ran into a friend with no game, who I could have chilled with and had a dry night. I said no.
Jesus.
You know, that's
is this how friends think about each other?
You know, like that? Like,
nah, let me not hang around him. That guy, he gets no play. I don't want that.
Real. I said no.
That's dark.
Paid my drink and left. Walking around, getting my mind right and smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
I complimented one German girl with a friend, and the next thing I knew, I was making out with both of them in a bar. Bar staff treated me like a king.
Okay, bro, we're gonna need to see some proof of this.
Left with two beautiful German girls, one under each arm. Bless you, Nero. Time to manifest that dollar.
So now you're gonna start manifesting money?
A man manifested a threesome before money.
Niggas and priorities, isn't it? It's just. So one thing that I kind of touched upon when it comes to beliefs, especially, in this particular example of a struggle complex, is that all beliefs are nothing more in the Hermetic tradition, referencing polarity. All beliefs are said to be half-truths. In the Hermetic tradition, it says all truths are half-truths. And what does it mean by this? It means that there's an aspect of you that believes in the notion that things must be complex. It can't be that easy. Things have to be difficult. Things have to be hard. Things have to be complicated. And this can be extrapolated to anything. It can be the notion of getting a job. It can be the notion of getting a promotion. It can be the notion of getting into a relationship, a healthy relationship. It can be in the notion of making more money. It always revolves around these particular things. That things have to be complicated, complex, difficult, or hard. For whatever fucking reason. We don't know why we think these things, but we just do. And now you know why you think these things. It's because you don't possess this belief. It is in fact this belief that possesses you. And that's what borrow that down. But in the Hermetic tradition, when you get into polarity, one of the axioms is all truths are half-truths. All truths are half-truths. And the reason why it says all truths are half-truths is because every particular belief comes with its energetic polarity, which means if you look at energies that exist in reality, they all come with complementary pairs: yin, yang, masculine, feminine, hot, cold, happy, sad, white, black, dark, light. All of these things are energetic polarities of each other. And when we talk about energetic polarities, that's just the fancy way of saying energies that are the same energy, but their only difference is their rate of vibration. And the rate of vibration is always determined by one word, and remember it because it rhymes. It is concentration. Concentration is a centralization of energy. Centralization. Concentration is a centralization of energy, which then sets into motion vibration. Vibration eventually becomes frequency. Frequency eventually materializes itself into reality. Yikes. Now, everything comes with a complementary energetic polarity, which means the notion of a struggle complex has its own energetic polarity. But what beliefs do is that they hide options. They hide options, and by hiding its other option, it hides a truth. And that's a bar, write that down. What do I mean by this? If you take the notion of the truths that people believe in this reality, they believe in these objective truths, in the realities that they experience, like nothing else fucking exists. Take the most simplistic example, the notion that all men are trash or all women are hoes. Individuals that are consumed and possessed by this particular belief, remember, they don't have that belief has them. Individuals that are consumed by that particular belief centralize energy to it through what we call concentration. That concentration sets into motion vibration. That vibration, and you know what, let me draw it like this. Concentration leads to vibration. Vibration picks up momentum and becomes a frequency. A frequency eventually materializes itself into reality. Bear in mind, when I say frequency is interchangeable state of consciousness, self-concept, self-image. These are all interchangeable terms for the same thing. So don't get bogged down in the mind games or of I'm law of assumption, I'm law of attraction, I'm law of focus, I'm this, I'm hermetic. Nigga, we're the law of whatever fucking works. Take out all the ego game.
Hey, that guy was going in. But listen, if you want to catch more of that, then you can check him out. His name is Nero, Nero, and he be getting to it. He was cooking, but I didn't want to go into the whole thing because that's a very long episode. Just a short clip, to give you something to take with you for today, and then use that as, a springboard to other thoughts and opinions going on. But just to, just to open up your mind and, give you a different point of view. Hey, when he started talking about polarities and hermetic principles, I was all for that. Anybody who knows me, who knows your boy Worthy, then you understand that I'm always working off the principles of the universe, the unwritten rules of the universe. In my struggles and in my life, going through some of the things that I went through, I already told you I read a lot of books and tried to give myself an understanding of the world around me by paying attention to the people, places, and things, understanding social interactions between a group of people or two people, or a mother and a child, trying to understand the dynamic of that relationship. Psychology, trying to figure out the inner workings of the mind. So it took me a few places. One of those places that my life took me was understanding the 7 hermetic principles that I think that everybody should be in tune with. It. If you don't, or if you haven't been exposed to it, you can just go on YouTube and just take a look at some of these principles. But one of the principles that he spoke about, one of the things he spoke about was saying the polarities of energy and vibrations, and everything has a polarity. So when we're getting into the frequency of struggle, it's because these are the energies and the thoughts that you're putting out that allows you to struggle. If you have a mindset that thinks minimalistic, then you're going to have a lifestyle that is also minimalistic as well. Do you want abundance, or do you want to struggle in thought? Just because something's going wrong for you doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way, because as my boy explained, every left has a right, every up has a down, and everything happens like this. There's nothing that you cannot name that doesn't have a polarity. So as we already know, where there's love, there's hate, but these are both the same things. Love and hate is the same. It's just on different sides of the spectrum, right? So is there really a difference between hot and cold? It's the same thing. Real cold is real hot in a weird way. But I say that to say, when we're speaking about half-truths and we're speaking about understanding the frequency of struggle, anybody who allows their mindset to get the best of them and their beliefs and allows themselves to put themselves in a position to think smaller than what they really are will always struggle, and you will always be a bottom dweller as long as you think on a bottom level. That's no place for you to live. That's no place for you to be in life. And if you're taking in things and you're not changing your perspective and your quality of life, then what are you actually doing to the world around you? You can look at religion and you can look at, believe in a higher power and believe in something outside of yourself, believing that something will change, but it's really inside of you that you have to go. All things that are outside of you are inside of you. And when we're talking about energies, we're talking about energy motions. We're talking about wavelengths. Even when you speak, there's wavelengths when you're speaking. So you're actually putting things into the universe, commanding it to be because of things that are coming out of your mouth. And it's the same thing in reverse. What you're taking in, the food that you're eating. Once again, we're going to speak about that. What are you doing to change these little things in your life that are allowing you to suffer? Some people are suffering from weight. Some people are suffering from addictions. Some people are suffering from bad energy when home is not even a home. I don't want you to go through that. You can always change your situation. It's up to you to make it better. And listen, And one of the episodes I spoke about human anatomy, and I spoke about how cells work. When you look at cells on a small level in a microscope, you'll see that even cells have relationships with each other. And they can be platonic bonds, friendly bonds, they can be ionic bonds, where they simply just repel each other, right? They get around each other, they can't even stand each other, right? You know, you got them family members who they just clash. Those cells, no matter how close they come, those energies, that aura will keep them from coming together. And then you have other cells who have bonds that, hey, you have something I need. I need some ions over here. All right, well, let me put this together with this, and you turn one element into another by adding on and creating a bigger ecosystem. And it's the same thing whenever you maneuver in the world around you. I want you to remember that. I want you to remember that everything that happens in life on a small level happens on a big level. As above, so below will always ring true, will always be true. As within, so without will always be true. What you take in is what you give out. So if you want to understand somebody and you want to get to know them, just listen to them talk. Listen to the words that they're saying. Let a person talk long enough and they'll reveal themselves to you. But we already knew this. I'm not saying anything that no one knows. I just want to give it exposure. I just want to bring it to the forefront. And that's why I do some of the things that I do. And I'm proud to be able to sit here in front of you as a positive person today, because I wasn't always that way and I didn't always have this way of thinking. And that's why it means so much to me to give this to you. So thank you. As we are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, we're working our way slowly but surely. The views are going up. I appreciate all of the time and the hours watched. Even if you came on here and you just liked this video and it made you go back to like the other ones, because there's different topics as I'm trying to find my niche in this space. But I told you, my name is worthy, and I feel like you're worthy. And that's for any viewer out there. And so I always want to keep it with that positive aspect, at least if I can, on each and every video. I don't want to get salacious. I don't want to get gossipy. We're not going to get into that. We're going to talk self-growth. We're going to get to a place in life where, you know, everything is positive and we're putting out positive energy because we want to receive back the same things in life. And guaranteed that life gives you what you put in is what you're definitely going to get out. So changing that mindset, changing that way of thinking is a major, major key. Don't forget that. And as we move along and keep this train going, this worthy train, we're gonna keep on pumping out, you know, this type of stuff. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Another one.